Well, a very good morning on the 11th of July. It's 11. It's just gone 11. Well, it is exactly 11:11 time-wise. 11 minutes past 11 on the 11th of July. Well, a very good afternoon on the 11th of July. That's correct. It's 11th of July 25. I've got a couple of bouquets of flower here from the garden, and I've taken them to a couple of grave sites over in the kirkyard next to Monzie Church. It's a beautiful day, very warm of course, but that's July. I don't get too excited about anything that's broadcast on the BBC or the Met Office. I don't even pay attention anymore. Not at all. I just ignore it completely. It's just a waste of time, waste of my energy. It's a very old graveyard where we're going to. This is a new part, of course. I say new, it's been there for a number of years. That's one of the old original houses that were commonplace in and around Monzie. And the laird's mother used to stay in there. I remember speaking to her back in 1986 as part of my folklore studies. She actually stayed in that house, but there's a new block behind it now. She's passed away as well, sadly, but not to worry. She had a very grand life living out here. And so what we're doing, Eddie, is we're taking these flowers to... I was out here a few weeks back. Can't remember what date it was now. I've not loaded anything, of course, but I had discovered I was looking for a grave, a particular grave one day, and I also discovered Mrs. Orchiston's grave. It can only be her. And I was absolutely delighted that I discovered that she was buried here in the Monzie churchyard. This is it from the northeast side, of course. And, they have cut the grass, I think, since the last time I was here. It was looking a bit tatty, but they've been in. But being the council employees, they don't rake anything up. I loved the days when they had sort of curators that looked after the church and the grounds, the graveyards and everything. Everything was all absolutely spick and span. You would never got weeds and stuff like this. In fact, I feel almost that I want to come out and do something, but I'm not entirely sure if this church is closing down or not. Someone's left a hat, Annie. That's sad. But you will see here the old jugs. I've mentioned this a couple of times about loads, but I never put the stuff up, you see. But that's the old jugs for naughty people. Before the days of the bench, of course, there would be throttled against that, put round their neck, and all the churchgoers on Sunday would all be viewing this little rascal. I don't know why this mat's lying here, Andy. What's happening? And of course, we've got the church doors are all barred up now. They never used to be, but so what we're doing is Mrs. Orchiston, as I say, it can only be her. Our gravesite's over here. But let me go to the first point of call, which is the young girl, Helen Laird, who was murdered by a boyfriend, wannabe boyfriend at least, just along the road there, at the end of the Monzie Road before you reach Gilmerton. She worked in a local fruit and veg shop, fish shop. So it sold flowers and fish and fruit and vegetables. I think some poultry as well in the earlier days, but certainly as I recall it, it was a very fine fish shop. And I used to go over there in 1977. Well, I remember that more specifically because I used to go over there every day, get some pear yogurt. I think this has gone on till it was 1981. Yeah, it was. It would have been handy, but certainly from 1977, it was a delightful girl who used to work in there, and I very much think that she was probably just like this Helen Laird. She was murdered on the 28th of April, 1968. Actually, it's got it in here. Yes, age 15 years, died 28th of April 1968. She was. I brought these flowers out for the girl because you know, the story touches my heart in some essence, because cycling home from her work most days, and everybody knew her. I didn't, of course. I was too young. I was only a young boy. But and no one talked about that, I can recall. I don't think the adults would have probably talked about it in shock and horror. But I can't give you the name. I don't want to give the name of the person who was involved in the killing. But he eventually stood trial at the High Court in Dundee. But he was not acquitted of murder. He was sent to the State Mental Hospital at Carstairs instead. And I'm not sure how long he stayed in that place, but he got released. I know that much. Several years ago. But at least for her mother, Charles and Elsie, well, it never happened. And I mentioned before that the old laird, Charles Maitland Crichton, of course, out of respect, because the laird's were tenant farmers at Colt Farm, just along the road here. And I made a bit of an upload. I probably added it in, but one thing I think I mentioned, that she was bludgeoned to death. I meant to say she wasn't bludgeoned to death, she was stabbed to death. She was stabbed, and well, doctors were called. They couldn't save her. I think she got into the ambulance. She was still alive, but they couldn't save her. And I have great respect. God bless the girl anyway. So I thought I'd come down and put some flowers at her grave. I was covering this story actually, and I wanted to just come out one day when the flowers in my garden were in bloom. Mrs. Orchiston, where is she now? I saw her not so long ago, Annie. Where did I see Mrs. Orchiston's grave? I can only assume it was her. Don't tell me I've forgotten where it is. I think it's over this way, Annie. Mrs. Orchiston, for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, is a kindly old lady that lived at the West Lodge in the Monee Estate. And she was in her 90s. When I used to stop in as a young boy walking out that way, she would always have a glass of orange juice at the ready, and an apple or whatever else she had. It was always something, you know. It wasn't a weekly thing or anything like that. It was just when I was passing, she was often there, and I was, Mrs. Orchiston, hello, how are you? Oh, hello, come. Would you like a drink of juice or something? Come in. And it was a wonderful place. It was so peaceful at her. She had no electric. She had no running water. And I'm still mystified as to how she got her provisions, but somebody must have brought them to her. Where on earth is her grave, Eddie? I did see it recently, but I've completely forgotten where it is. This is another sign of dilapidation on the estate. This was a beautiful roundhouse on the western edge of the estate. Property was actually occupied about 40 years ago. An old lady, she died in here at the age of 98. No running of water, no electricity. Just a coal fire, as you can see in the corner. And she used to get her water from the Shaggy downstream. This is the view she had every morning she came out the door. So the knock. And of course this was what we call the golden gates. These gates here were actually painted golden. Beautiful gates. Just shows you time has done a lot of damage in the last 40 years. There we go. That's the golden gates. Yes, here she is up at the top end. In memory of David Chisholm Orchiston, who died on the 3rd of December 1947 in his 80th year. Also his wife Jemima Baird died the 3rd of October 1972 in her 97th year. Well, you see, I always thought she died when she was 98, but she was in her 97th year, and ties in just wonderfully 1972 autumn, because it would have been 70, 71, 72 perhaps. Certainly a lot of 72 out of been in her house. There was a huge age difference between her and her husband. I understand that it can only be the same Orchiston, there's not a very uncommon name, that she'd come up from Corby. That was all I was told, that she'd come up from Corby. Her son was killed in action during the Second World War. He had the exact same name as his father. But you can see that she must have been a very, very young lady in 1947 when her husband died aged 80. He was 79. That's fairly incredible, isn't it? He was 79 going on 80 when he died in 1947, and they'd lost a son just a few years earlier. So she did have a very long and lonely life, which was very pleasant. She never talked about her son or her husband. She never mentioned them once. That someone told me she came from Corby, but I don't know if it's entirely true. God bless you, Mrs. Orchiston. I put some flowers for you. I don't have a vase, I'm afraid, so they won't last. They might wilt. I thought you would like some pretty flowers to brighten up your day. And hopefully they'll be okay for you. Jemima Baird. That was her own name. Jemima Orchiston. It's definitely her. So I've got a record of that. If I need to, well, if I would need to go to the, the National Records in Edinburgh, I can pop in and see if this is information I have. Can you give me any more information on Mrs. Orchiston, please? Because I've got such a fondness for that lady. Real fondness. She was a bit of a miracle woman, actually. And yes, I'm grateful for the people, particularly when you're young. You meet a lot of people when you're very young, and you don't know the significance of their importance until much later in life. Sometimes decades later, passing comment is you realise how valuable it was, something of encouragement, or Just even a smile sometimes when you're a young chap, you know, passing gentleman or lady can brighten up your day. I try to smile to most people. Well, not smile, I try to say hello to them. But I'm not very good at smiling. I'm alright at laughing, but I'm not very good at smiling. I always find smiles can be a bit fake. Unless there is an element of sincerity to them. And I always found that when I was walking up from home and passing neighbours, there was, "Oh, hello Andrew," and there was always a big smile. Yes. "What are you up to, Andrew?" "I'm going to school." "What do you think I'm going?" "Well, you're late." "Yes, I'm always damn late in the winter." "Is this why they call you Dormouse?" "Yes." "Well, what's not slip in the snow?" "No, I love the snow. In fact, I did. I would spend endless hours in the snow. And I absolutely loved slush and snow when I was a youngster. Spent hours in the damn place in the darkness as well, just shoveling about with slush. I quite liked all the elements. I often liked my being out in heavy rain as well. I don't know, but I never thought about it really. I never really gave it a second thought. It was absolutely teeming it down, and even in my teens and stuff, when it absolutely howling November night or something, and rain driving into you, just walk up to meet my chums and stand about chatting in the rain. But I'm awful glad I came out today for Ellen. You can see already that little corner is all alive with somebody's life taken short just because of I don't know the full story to it. I don't think anyone does, but certainly she was killed, and she was meant to be a very popular person, and as I say, she worked as in the Malach, the fishmongers, and must have been a real shock to them as well, having to tell other customers who didn't know. Where's Helen? I've not seen her for a while. She died sadly under tragic circumstances. So, oh dear. So it must have been awful. Malach, of course, was where on the East High Street in Crieff, just where Alan's pet shop is situated. The doorway's never changed. The door's exactly the same as it's always been, believe it or not. Well, it's a damn good door, that's why. But this kirk here was built in 1832, any. Opened in 1832 at least. It was started, I think it was 1829. And it's a fine church. It's absolutely wonderful inside. It really is. It's a brilliant. I come very, very regular in the services, particularly 20 odd years ago. Never missed a Sunday actually. And the place was packed. And there was no weeds in the pathway, none at all. Everything was absolutely perfect. But I'm going over there in the shade for a cigarette, so I'm not sitting here in the baking sunshine. It's not good for you, that, sitting in the terribly hot sun. Not really. Yes, this is a better spot than any, just slightly out of them. It's a marvellous, marvellous building. This church is on a site of an old kirk, and it's meant to be almost about 1,000 years. Yeah, it's about 1,000 years of worship has taken place on this very site. And And this is the village of Keppoch was up the back there, you see. It's quite a large village. And the main bulk of Monzie is over the other side. We'll go around that way actually, and I'll turn my camera on some of the oldest houses in this area. Yes.
Seems like a very long time. Seems like a very